so well that I can get onto the next stroke as best as possible and can just keep repeating that.
So the hands of the cocks, as you can see, raised, they're just indicating to the umpire that they're not ready to go. That means they're just trying to get straight. You can see in the 2-seat there, a little tap on from the Marin crew just to get the boat straight. Both hands are still up, and this is where I always feel quite tense in U.S.A. You've just got to think first stroke, which is a long levered stroke to get that boat moving. Quite a lot of weight to go from a standing start. Let's listen to them go.
Wow, just listen to that noise of 2/8 thundering off the start line. And both of these crews are so up for it. They're desperate to get into that final with Headington School that we saw win so well earlier.
So Rye on the left, Marin on the right, East Coast and West Coast, two brilliant American programs going on here. The Rye program is absolutely fantastic, formed only in 2013 to bring together athletes at all kinds of level, and this is the performance squad from Rye, and closest to us Marin as we come off the shelter of the island to the crosswind of the open course, getting onto the booms here, and it's stroke for stroke.
Yeah, nothing to call between them so far. I think at this point you're just it's an odd point of the race because you're still racing super high. You're trying to find your rhythm, but you can see Marin here doing a fantastic job. They're looking really, really rhythmical, and perhaps they can just let the rate trickle out and just get more and more out of each stroke.
So there, Cox, Jackson Tupper we're looking at on the left of our picture, 18 years old. He raced in the Princess Elizabeth, which is the junior men's equivalent 8 event. So he's got some Henley experience, which is quite helpful for him, I think, and he'll know the course and its pacing. And yeah, Marin look really nice here, and but so do their opponents from Rye on the far side, and there's nothing to call at this point.
No, absolutely. The RowAmerica Rye crew, I think their rating is slightly lower than the Marin Rowing Association, and yeah, I mean they're stroke for stroke at the minute, and nothing to call between them.
So this is the phase of the race where you go from that sort of explosive start, which is all about getting the boat up and running at speed, to something that you can then sustain through the middle. I always think it's a challenge to know how to go down through the gears when you're alongside somebody else. We can just see, it looks to me like the Rye crew is starting to move away. You called it, Angus. They seem to have dropped their stroke record a bit, lengthened out and get into that rhythm earlier, but that it seems to be giving them a bit more speed, and perhaps it's time for a change of gear in the Marin crew now to try to match them.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just seeing a bit in the Marin crew now. The crosswind perhaps affects them a little bit. The blade's getting caught a little bit, but I think this point in the race as well. You're really hurting off that start. The adrenaline is perhaps wearing off a tiny bit. It's an all-out sprint in the 8, and when it's hurting like that, and you're trying in a close race, and you're trying to press the advantage. It's really about who can take the most pain and still row to the best of their ability. Those are the ones that are going to move away and win.
So I think Marin have done that gear change now, actually. They look more comfortable, and they really are holding off so that they haven't seen Rye move out to any more advantage. I love this shot as we watch them approach the camera, and we'll see both crews going past. You'll get a sense of the noise and the energy and the movement of the big 8 crews. I think it's my favourite class personally, having rowed a lot in 8s. There's so much about combining with each other and the power and the noise. And here we go. So there go Rye. They're sort of 3 seats, maybe 4 seats up on Marin now. So Marin really have some work to do to hold on in this middle section of the course that they're now into.
Yeah, absolutely. The 8 is a big test of teamwork, and I think what we're seeing here are 2 great teams just going at it. They've got so much faith in their teammates that their heads are in the boat, and they're only concentrating on themselves so far, and that's exactly what you got to do in a race as tight as this. This is still super close so far. I think there's only about a canvas in it. It looks like RowAmerica Rye just up, but it looks like both crews are finding the conditions slightly hard to deal with. There's a lot of waves out there.
Yeah, and I think you can see the umpire just warning Marin to stay on their station. Marin straying across to the middle, and this is where the crosswind is probably at its strongest. You can see the flags fluttering there, so they've got to hold on and stay straight. As I look through the history of the event this week at Henley, neither of these crews have really been tested so far. So RowAmerica, who we can see just nosing ahead there, beat Lady Eleanor Hollis, and then Hinksey, not hugely close races, and on the other side of the draw, Marin beat Surbiton and then Shiplake. So Rye haven't moved any further, have they? I mean, this is quite an important time for them as we go through the middle of the race. Looks like Marin are holding them and maybe even regaining a seat or two.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I was in that Marin boat, I'd be really wanting to push on now. You know, let the other crew know that we're still here, and you know, your fast start. You haven't broken us, and we're going to push through you.
Here come Marin, and I think they're moving a couple of centimetres a stroke every stroke at the moment, and that's a tough thing if you're in the Rye crew to see that you've got somebody different sitting alongside you, and it's moving and it's moving and it's moving. I like the way the young women from Marin are moving now, the experience of their Cox, Jackson, Tupper, knowing this is the part of the course where you really have to move, and Rye need to kind of come up with a response now. Will it be more power? Will they put the rate up as well to try to get back on terms, or do they wait until the Marin pushes over and then have a response of their own?
Yes, well, just looking at the past histories of the crews here, and it looks like they raced each other at the head of the Charles, so they're very familiar with each other. But at the moment, there's really nothing to call between them. I think RowAmerica Rye are really responding to Marin County now, and it looks like they're slightly ahead.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, they did exactly what we were speculating they might do, which is wait for Marin to finish moving and then respond. So they've had a cool, calm, confident response here, and you can see a little bit of strain showing now through that Marin crew, having had that really big push to get back on terms. And now it's the turn of Rye to accelerate again. I think they've stolen a couple of seats again over Marin. We can see maybe it's a quarter of a length, it's a canvas, it's a cracker, and I think Marin are responding again. So it's neck and neck, move for move, tussle for tussle as the spectators rise.
Yeah, to me, the Rye crew look like slightly more dynamic, a little bit more punchy, a bit more energy perhaps than the Marin crew. But it's going to be fascinating to see what happens in the last 500 metres.
I remember this feeling so well. Close eights racing at Henley, you really are starting to get into a tunnel now. So the tiredness kicks in. You just don't know quite where the finish is going to come. They're not familiar with this extra distance of 112 more metres than the standard 2,000 metres. There aren't the 250-metre markers that tell you where you are, and you can sort of gauge and pace yourself. So you're in a little bit of a dead zone, and you've just got to listen to the cocks, listen to the calls and respond. But Marin, well, they're trying to do what they can, but it still looks like Rye have got the edge.
Yeah, it's such a horrible part of the race, and I think anyone who's been through it before never forgets it. You know, I think they just well, we can see here that Rye are pushing on. It looks like they've got a bit more of an advantage now. They're really sprinting for the line. They're desperate for that place in the final and take on Headington School.
So Rye have accelerated through the enclosures, and they're now pulling out towards a length, and Marin haven't been able to respond. I think we could see them looking a bit more tired in that final, as they came into the final quarter of the race. So it's only a few strokes to go now, and all Rye have to do is hold on and keep in time with each other. As their legs burn, you can start to see them really struggling a little bit technically, just because they've spent everything they could to get across that line first. And well, they finish probably 2/3 to 3/4 of a length ahead of Marin. What a great battle, an epic battle in the junior women's 8, and RowAmerica Rye from the US East Coast will be delighted to be in the final tomorrow.